Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you all to our first Hospitality Qatar webinar titled New Technologies and Strategies Implemented in the Hospitality Sector Post-Covid-19. This is actually one of many webinars that IFP is launching throughout all our events portfolio in the MENA region. If you would like to know more about our next events, please you can join and check our website ifpexpo.com to see all our next one, and we would like to welcome you all to come on board in different sectors: hospitality, construction, agriculture, and so on. Before we start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Ahmed Kailani. I'm going to be the host of this webinar. Before we actually start and pass to the moderator, introduce all our speakers for today, I would like to tell everyone, please, a few simple house rules. The session itself will be for 45 minutes, and then at the end, 15 minutes, it will be open for public for Q&A. The Q&A is actually open for all our guests via text in the bottom of the screen with the Q&A button. You can share your questions, and that will be more than helpful to actually ask this question at the end. Bear in mind that microphone and cameras is limited to only to our speakers and moderator. And also at the end of the session, we'll be sharing with you a short survey in order to get your feedback. It's really important to understand how we can improve and make this webinar series in a better way, or to have, for example, maybe new topics or new things, challenges, basically, that sectors are facing that we can talk about and try to find specific solutions. I don't want to take more of your time, and I would like to introduce the speakers of the day. We have Ms. Hala Makhoul, Group Food Safety Manager in Boyker, Mr. Fouad Kyriakos, General Manager of Shamira Solutions, Mr. Vincent Monavon, Director of Marketing and Sales in Intercontinental Doha City Hotel, and the moderator of today is going to be Mr. Haider Mshaimus, General Manager of IFP Qatar. I would like to thank for your time and welcome you all again. I will pass it to Haider, and I will see you later. Enjoy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us in today's webinar titled New Technologies and Strategies Implemented in the Hospitality Sector Post-COVID-19. In today's webinar, we are honored and pleased to be joined by three of the top experts in the hospitality sector in Qatar, representing some of the leading brands in the market. And together with our experts and panelists, we are going to try to explore how the hospitality scene is going to look and feel like in the country, and also to try assuring you that hopefully we will all have the pleasure of enjoying different hospitality facilities in a safe manner post-COVID. So I will just allow our respected panelists for today to introduce themselves. And I would like to ask Ms. Hala Makhoul to kindly introduce herself first.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hala Makhoul. I'm the Group Food Safety Manager at Boyker. I've been with them for almost 15 years, responsible of everything related to food safety within the region, as well as germ control.
Thank you, Hala. Mr. Vincent, if you would kindly please introduce yourself.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. So I'm Vincent Monavon. I've been working for Intercontinental Doha City for the last 2 years, but I've been in this position of sales and marketing and industry for the last 20 years in different parts of the world, from Africa, Europe to Indian Ocean.
Thank you, Vincent. And last but not least, Mr. Fouad, if you would please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Fouad Kyriakos, the General Manager of Chimera Solutions. We've been in the hospitality technology industry for the past 15 years, and I'm happy to join you all today at this event.
Thank you, Fouad. Thank you, everyone. So as I mentioned previously, with the official announcement of the Qatari government plan to start easing the restrictions that were previously imposed, we've been all hoping and awaiting the day where we can get back to practicing our normal life, including enjoying different hospitality facilities in Qatar, whether it's dining out or maybe checking in to a hotel. But along with this hope and with this aspiration, obviously there were concerns related to the safety and health aspects and how much safe it's going to be to enjoy such activities. And this is specifically the question we are trying to answer today. And I'm going to address exactly this point directly with Mrs. Hala Makhul to ask her, how can we actually ensure a safe environment for clients, for customers in the hospitality industry, whether we're talking about dining out, we are talking about staying in a hotel, using a hotel facility, or enjoying any other hospitality facility.
Okay, so now we're starting to actually going back to our normal life, but normal will not be exactly the same normal as before. So as client or as guest, we're gonna go back exploring, going, eating out, booking rooms in hotels. So we have a lot of expectation, and at the same time we are worried. So what do we need to make sure about whenever we are starting our experience? As a guest, whenever reaching a hotel, what do we want, for example? We want to guarantee safety, hygiene, cleanliness, proper disinfection. Well, it should be for the rooms, for all the area we are going through, and as well, we have to watch out our social distance. For example, if we have a restaurant, how are we going to behave? What about the menus offered? How will be the order? Can we sit wherever we want? So we have plenty of things that we should take into consideration. And here will come the role of the hospitality sector to put in place several guidelines to guarantee the safety of the customers. So normally the experience will start upon receiving the guest or upon reaching the lobby or the front of the house. So we need to enter. So we need to guarantee that we are entering. We need a proper disinfection technique in place. We're gonna talk about the technique later on, but this is the step one. Us as a human, we're fine, we're finished. What about our luggage? What about our things we are bringing with us to the hotel? It's at the same time a source of contamination. If you want just to put a small comment here, understanding the contamination for COVID-19, we have to know that it comes from two sources. Human, we are the source of COVID-19, and as well as anything we touch. So the touching point, we bring it as well with us. So this is why it's very important not only to make sure that our guests coming are safe by checking their temperatures, making sure there is no signs of illness whatsoever, respiratory illnesses, and then at the same time, we need to guarantee the hygiene of the things they are bringing and anything we are touching inside. So if we finish the entrance of the people, we are going inside to our check-in. We normally recommend nowadays to have an online check-in to minimize the time we are in the queue inside. So if we have an online check-in, we don't have a lot of time to wait at the front desk. And as well as having this social distance between one guest and another. And we need also to make sure about the hand sanitation and the hand hygiene. So we need to have at several points in the hotel or anything we are talking about, being a hotel, a restaurant, a facility, entertainment, everything should be well provided with the hygiene sanitizer and the hand gel. So the client is inside. He did his online check-in, no touching as much as possible. And then here we go to the luggage. The luggage should be taken by another third party and should be properly well treated and disinfected. We're gonna cover as well the techniques of disinfection. Then we have to access our room. The room is definitely previously well treated, and it would be nice as well for the guest to have kind of a tag or a label that will show him that this room was previously disinfected. So he will be more or less confident that he can access properly and use all the facility inside with no worries. So everything will be, all the touch point, the door handles, everything, those are really high risk normally. Previously, without COVID-19, it was the most contaminated areas. So we did all that. We have now our nice experience by dining. We're gonna cover as well how the hotel or the restaurant should make sure that the dining experience is as well successful. So we need as much as possible to avoid buffet. Don't have a lot of things that will attract mass people. So social distance, less buffet, no salad bars, a la carte menu, and the menu could be electronic by QR code, accessing by your phones. So minimize as much as possible the touching. And we don't forget about the employees of the hotel or the restaurant. They should as well have their PPEs, the mask, which is obligatory everywhere. They should as well make sure that no signs of illness for the employees, properly checking their temperature upon arriving in the morning. So here our dining experience is getting much better. We finished this. We need as well to make sure the entertainment. What about the pools, the swimming pool? Properly chlorination? Did we monitor the ppm, the concentration of chlorine in the pools? What about of the gym? Is it properly disinfected? How are we receiving the guests? So the timing, the booking, everything should be done previously to make sure as well to minimize queues. We don't want a lot this contact or the crowded places, as the WHO will say, to avoid as much as possible. So in that case, we will be more or less covering all the points. And the hospitality sector should make sure to have a proper schedule between the check-in and the check-out. So how are we going to give a new room for a customer? You finished, you checked out. Normally check-in and check-out was kind of fast before. So it cannot be the same nowadays. So we need at least 24 hours between the checkout of the customer and the new one arriving. And if we have a single doubt of any COVID-19 possibility, any client, suspect, we saw some symptoms, suddenly the temperature was more than 37.5 body temperature of the client. So this room should no longer be available within 24 hours. We should at least wait 72 hours to have a proper full disinfection system with the most, I would say, advanced technique to avoid all kind of contamination for a future guest. I don't know if I covered all the points for us.
You've definitely covered a lot of points, and those are a lot of angles to be covered and approached. And as Hala has highlighted, the health and safety aspects are going to be the primary challenge for hospitality facility operators in the future. And as an experienced international hotelier, Vincent, I would like to hear from you, from your point of view, with your experience in the hotels scene. What do you think that for hotels are the tools and strategies and technologies that are going to be utilized and adopted to actually make people convinced that it's safe for them to check back into hotels?
Well, today, the topic of cleaning and sanitization has been very high on the list for the hospitality industry and hotel operation. But so many information came at the same time, and at the moment, let's say that we did not put everything together to really build something strong. So that's exposing hospitality to this type of health information may necessitate that the industry becomes a party to the healthcare industry regulation and compliance, especially for data handling. Because we started putting together some action, but all these action at the end are on the hard side and the soft side of your building to start with, but with the people who will come back from outside countries, it will come on the individual. And that's where the industry leaders, operators, research service, suppliers, and relative need to have a common sense, as suggested, that the guests as well as the staff will have an increased focus of the environment that they sleep, dine, and work in. So for that, we will have to reevaluate the hotel technology and strategy to prepare for a new formal post-recovery, because coronavirus pandemic has been created an unprecedented level of anxiety, of economic uncertainty. Around the globe, that's forced hoteliers to re-examine their fundamental strategy, preparedness, business survival, and technological investment. COVID-19, more than anything before, has underscored the critical needs to protect our businesses from future existential threats. While we could not have predicted this devastation that COVID-19 has wreaked on the hospitality industry and the global economy, we can still imagine the future which waits on the other side. So identifying technology that can adapt to the post-COVID, that's need to update and optimize operation, cross-training staff, reevaluating the internal spending, because on one side, the cost of the new action that we have to put together has not been clearly estimated, because you were dealing before that having guests checking it 72 hours after the previous one. But empty room for 3 days, it's big cost. Cleaning products, cleaning staff, it's big cost. So all these at the moment has not been really measured. So this is also a part in the reevaluation that we have to do internally for the spending, and to see how will be the different cancellation policy also that will imply a pricing adjustments. And we don't know at the moment exactly how to deal with. So we will have to start an experience with what we will have put together and to see what is going right and what is going wrong, to build slowly the best procedure as possible. Because it's important to emphasize that hoteliers should still invest in their property, in spite of their unprecedented challenge presented by coronavirus, while hoteliers will undoubtedly be pressured to cut spending in the coming month, because we don't know which will be the future business. So we have to spend, but we have also to cut in spend. So that's also double question of what we will do. So, but we have to maximize the operation efficiency because of this coronavirus. And this is also part of the hospitality and COVID-19 that will have the data gathering. As we've seen, like what has happened in Doha with Etiraz. So this is compulsory here for all the people, just to know who has been in contact or not in contact. But how will we deal with the people coming from outside? So this is also second part of our concern.
That's another angle to include also. Fuad, we all heard both Hala and Vincent mentioning that there would be definitely a need for new technologies in the future to better and safer operate the hospitality facilities in Qatar and elsewhere. With the Chimera Solutions being a long-lasting leading technology provider for the hospitality industry in Qatar, what can you tell us about such new technologies that are already out there in the market and that, from your position as an expert, you would recommend for hospitality facility operators and owners? You need to unmute yourself.
Yes. Well, given the contagious nature of the virus, it's crucial to have appropriate health and safety policies in place, especially for businesses that rely on in-person interactions. So of course, where possible, providing a contactless guest experience, as Hala had just mentioned. So for instance, we're offering a contactless guest experience using the latest solution by MyCheck. With MyCheck, we strive to help restaurants and hotels deliver this experience by allowing customers to use their own device. So basically for mobile booking, mobile check-in and check-out, mobile ordering and payment with QR code, as Hala has just mentioned, and the mobile digital room key for hotels. So basically, this would help having less in-person interactions. MyCheck is also fully integrated with front office systems such as Opera and many point-of-sale solutions, including Infosys, Micros, Symphony, and many more. So the whole system would be integrated with the hotel infrastructure as well. So basically, we would advise businesses to consider systems that would be providing an end-to-end solution, reducing any need for in-person interactions.
Interesting to know that already technologies are starting to be present in the market and ready to be utilized. Moving to a more specific topic, we all are very well familiar with the Boyker as being a leader in the market in terms of food safety for many years back. So we'd like to know from you, Hala, in the specific subject of food safety, what has changed with this pandemic and what in the future we can expect in terms of ensuring food safety, whether it's in terms of best practices, available trainings, etc.
The good thing about COVID-19, honestly, it's that it's not transmissible through food. So that at least, if by any chance it's inside our food by proper cooking, we are okay. But as I was saying before, our source is human. In food safety, the top priority for us is always personal hygiene, personal hygiene. We've been repeating that since ages. So let's see what we should do for the COVID-19 specifically. So first, every restaurant, every kitchen, I would say, we definitely need someone to be leading this COVID-19 plan. We need to have a plan in place, and we need to have someone in charge of the plan. Now, some of the restaurants will actually open now. So we have at least 2 months of no operation at all, not even deliveries. So those need what we call a pre-opening checklist. We need to check if everything is fine inside. Our fridge is still okay. The temperature is running properly. What about the freezer? What about the deep cleaning? So that should be in place before the operation, 1. 2, we need to train our people. Train not only on food safety, but train as well the combination of food safety and COVID-19. So it's very important to fight this virus by knowledge. If we really know about it, we will definitely be ready for it, and we'll be breaking the chain of the contamination. So train our employees and put in place a plan. So same for the employee of the hotel, or we come in the morning, we check the body temperature, we check ihtiraz, are we still okay? Can we access? And we need to narrow the access points, because the people are a source. So no visitors allowed in the kitchen, no contractors, no suppliers even. So they are not allowed to go inside the kitchen because that might be a source of contamination. So we need to put in plan how to receive our food, all the raw materials, our receiving area, who is in charge of receiving the food, and are we transferring our raw food to our own boxes, which are disinfected and properly cleaned? There is a minimum possible of touching with the contractor and the supplier. Don't take their pens, use your own pen. Small things, I would say, that will help us, you know. We are inside now and we are working. We go back to the proper protective clothing for the employees, the mask, the gloves, the uniform, laundered in-house, cleaning on daily basis, all that should be in place, and the proper hygienic practices. So reminding them would be good by having posters all over the kitchen, hand washing practices, how do we have proper respiratory also practices, and now we need to add 2 more things, how to change the gloves and how to remove the mask. Because if you don't do that properly, you will be contaminating your hand and it's gonna be back to square zero. So this is as well very important. And are we using it a single time? It's also good. We cannot wash those disposable masks because it will be completely useless. So once we did all that, we need as well to make sure our employees, before accessing, we did all the tests, the quarantine is completed, it's safe for them to join us. And then we need to even apply inside the kitchen a social distance in a way and minimize the rotation of the people. So do a zoning. You are in the receiving area, you stay in the receiving area. You are in the kitchen for cooking, you are no longer allowed to switch, you know, to swap. You can do shifts. I would say we're not starting full capacity for the restaurant, so we can do shifts for the employees, and that will be helping us inside the kitchen. The deliveries as well should be very well controlled. You know, we did that throughout the whole period, the 3 months of closure. A lot of kitchens operated the delivery, but as well as proper sanitation, disinfection for the boxes, for the bags. How do they, the driver himself, good hygiene practices, no smoking, hand washing, hand sanitizer always present with him at all time, no contact with the guests, no contact with the people if you go home, 2 meters distance, all that should be in place. And we go inside the restaurant. I guess the country by itself is asking us to have opening, soft opening, 30%, 50% until reaching the full capacity. That as well will minimize the contamination spread.
Okay. Before I move on to the next question, I would like to remind our dear attendees of today's webinar that they have the liberty of asking whatever questions they have in the Q&A section, as one of the goals of today's webinar is actually to answer whatever concerns and inquiries the attendees have. So please don't feel shy to ask whatever questions you have. I'll get back to you, Vincent. Hala spoke elaborately when it came to the food outlets. If we go back to hotels, in your opinion, are hotels going to have at the coming period to implement new ISO normalizations, new labels, new procedures? What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's already on the way. That's some of the company in Dubai have gone through some normalization. So in quick time, each major brand will come to the market with their own new cleaning protocols, some announcing kind of partnerships with customer cleaning and chemical brands. Although by the time everyone is finished, there will be limited competitive advantage to be gained in the space. However, it may serve to settle the guest concern. Of more significant concern if guest and staff wellness and personal health status, as it's related to the virus, the cleanliness of the hotel does not protect us from a person carrying on the virus. We have come to understand that COVID-19 will be prevalent in society on a global scale for some time to come. Based upon normal timeless for vaccine production, it's likely to be at least another 12 months. That does not take into account that the virus may also mutate in the coming season. This is why, to prevent and to reassure the guests, some companies have been through what we call the safeguard label done by Bureau Veritas. I think that for the moment, 2 hotels in Dubai have done that. So this is linked to management commitment to prevent the risk of the contamination, application to reinforce hygiene rules, cleaning, disinfection, respect for the social distancing guidelines within terms, team and clients, application of barrier gesture within the team, and vis-a-vis also the public, action to be taken in the event of suspected contamination, payment management, as we did earlier, management and supervision. So some goes through some companies like Veritas, some goes with some brands which are dealing with the cleanliness, and also some other major company will go directly with their own labelization. Because the question now for the future is also, there is not only one question, that's will the industry need to track COVID-19 status information for both guests and staff? That's one of the key questions. Because we're talking about the cleaning, sanitization level, but we have also, once again, to come back to the staff and the people. Will the industry need to maintain historical record to facilitate the tracing in case of outbreak from unwell member or staff or guests? That's another question. Then it will come in another sequence that I will develop later that will be linked what you already talked. It's about having specific app to deal with all these issues.
Interesting insight, Vincent. Back to you again, Fuad. Hala had already explained to us a bit about the best practices currently in place when it came to food outlets and specifically all the activity that kept going on through the lockdown. From a technology perspective, what can you tell us about the technologies that are currently present in the market in Qatar, or that maybe Chimera solution itself might be already providing to restaurants, hotels, to ensure that their high-touch equipment are safe and good to use?
Basically, representing ENS Group, we've recently introduced a product called UV Clean to the region, and it's going to be first seen in Qatar. I have one here on my desk, which I use on my keyboard and on my computer. Basically, UV Clean uses UVC. It's an invisible light that inactivates bacteria and viruses at the cellular level, preventing them from multiplying and causing any infection. So one of the major benefits of UV Clean is that it operates on a non-touch automated cleaning cycle. So basically safe for humans and lethal to pathogens. So to give you a few examples of some use cases, many use cases involving the disinfection of high-touch devices include mobile phones, tablets, keyboards, touch or non-touch monitors, kiosks, for example, POS payment terminals. Every time you want to put your PIN code on a POS device, you're always worried that someone else has touched this device. Recently, people are using temperature guns. So basically, this is something that we're using to disinfect these devices. So within hotels, the best use case scenarios would be the front desk at computer stations, passport scanners, payment terminals, and at self-service tablets or kiosks. In addition to this, our UV Clean standalone unit provides to be very efficient for inside the rooms of guests. they would be safer to know that their remote has been cleaned and has been disinfected. So hotel guests could also use this device to clean their personal items during their stay, such as their phones, keys, wallets, tablets, and more. Now, if we're talking about restaurants, touchscreen point of sale stations and payment terminals are the perfect environment for cross-contamination, especially with quick service restaurants. The most interaction between customers and staff occur at ordering counters. So with UV Clean, it would be installed across all the POS stations and payment terminals, providing 24/7 disinfection. So this is one of the latest technologies we're using that is new for the region as well.
That's very encouraging actually to hear, Fuad, to know that there is actually already an effective technology that would make things much safer for users from different categories. So speaking about actually the measures and the tools and the technologies effectives, I will get back to Hala to ask her, in your opinion as an expert in Boyker, what are the best disinfection techniques that have proven to be the most effective in the hospitality industry?
We do have several techniques, so it depends what we want to target. So if we're talking about, for example, people arriving to any point, a hotel, a restaurant, we do have those sunny tunnels. They enter through a tunnel of disinfection. We have those nozzles spraying a specific food grade, 100% human safe product, which is free from chlorine and ethanol, and it's approved actually. And from the shoulder down, it will help disinfecting at the first point, I would say. We have as well inside the rooms, we need as well to disinfect the room. So we can use a technique of misting, using the same product, technique of misting. And this mist actually is used on the hard surfaces, non-porous surfaces. And it can reach very difficult areas because it's a micro molecules in that case. So it can reach the very small area and it will disinfect wherever normally in a regular technique we cannot reach. We have the low pressure. We can use it on the non-porous, for example, on carpets or on sofa. So this will help us cover all the areas in the room, all the accessories of the room. It will help us disinfect at the entrance point. And we should not forget about as simple as the hand gel and the disinfection, the sanitizer, that we should put them everywhere in our facilities. And it should be as well properly planned to refill them, you know. If you are in a restaurant, most of the time inside in the kitchen, due to the hurry of the employees, we find out that the dispenser is completely empty. So we need also to make sure it's properly refilled and everything is in place for the employee to guarantee its safety. It should be at the entrance point of the restaurant, be it of the hotel. It should be at the receiving area as well. It should be given to customers at the tables whenever we have the dining area. It should be given to the suppliers and to the contractors. So you need to make sure anyone in contact with you have a good hygiene practices in terms of hand, in terms of clothing, and in terms of respiratory. So all these should be in place from the sunny tunnel, from the dispensers, and from the technique of spraying inside closed areas.
So that's even more encouraging on top of what Fuad had already mentioned. Obviously, we are now learning more about multiple technologies and solutions and disinfection solutions available on the market. Back to you, Vincent. Currently, maybe two of the most common use terms are contactless and social distancing. So in hotels, how do you expect that hotels are going to actually implement and manage these two concepts? Obviously, there will be a need for maybe, for example, new trainings for the staff to be able to operate differently. What other ways you can think about that hotels will eventually be able to manage a contactless and social distanced experience?
Well, to start with, you know that our sector, which is hospitality, it's mainly linked to contact. Yeah. So now we have to deal with something which is against this principle, that's to have social distancing and put less contact. And, you know, we cannot work and doing hospitalities from home now. So that is not doing your job in your office, except for the sales time, but even the salespeople are moving to visit some of their clients. But at the end, for sure, we know that's the growing influence and the growing role in our day-to-day activities, especially at sales level to promote the hotel, the outlets, that we use the social media. But now out of this, to put this contactless in the hospitality, we have to move on. Now, let's say the mobile is the tool who's doing everything. So once again, the mobile will do something more for us with new apps that we already know that some companies are working on. Because if you go in some stores at the moment, you can pay for small amounts with no touch, contactless payments. But at the moment, you cannot go to take the elevators with no contact, go to the ATMs, go to the restaurants and something like that. But why shall we go touchless? Let's say touchless is the absolute side. It's not what we will reach, but this is what we want to reach. First, we come back to the same topics, is to reduce hygiene and anxiety of the people. Second is to keep customer and staff safer by reducing the potential contamination of the touch point. This is different point that you have dealt with my colleague have dealt previously in their explanation. Reduce also the maintenance costs of different areas, from pens to steel gadget to knees and everything. To reduce also downtime and improve the productivity, because with these tools, now you will have to anticipate many things, because we just talked before, talking about Doha, when the restaurants will reopen. To start with, beginning of June will be 30% of the capacity, then it will move to 50%. So some of you have been recently in the mall and see this crowd going out because people want to breathe, want to do something. So if it goes the same in the restaurant, we're going to face some issue. So that's where the technology also should come, that people will have to change maybe their habit to really book, for sure to book their slot, but maybe to book after what they want to eat, because less buffet, more a la carte, so more time to spend to prepare, more time to spend to serve. So that will also go and help the people to go in touchless. That will also help us to reduce the queuing time. Thanks to that, by conducting more on your phone, it will increase the sales in different points by differentiation to your competitors. And it will also provide you more information on your client and their habits. So we know that this platform will become essential, and they will need to be linked to what we have, our PMS booking platform. And on the other side, this will also increase the staff efficiency, because a large part of the work will be pre-done. So maybe also more time to the communication, even with the social distancing, but that will also maybe give the people more time to be in direct contact with the guests, better than to be with their computer. So this is a significant change which may happen quite soon. The ideal solution would be to an international level of data tracking platform to manage everything. So even today, global standard and international cooperation does not apply to passport information and sharing of arrival and departure information, because we have to protect on the other side all the customers. And you know, one of the main training that the team has is the protection of the customer. So we will have a challenge by asking more on the customer habits, more details on them, but we'll have also to protect them. So that will create also something different. But the reality is that each time a traveler enters now in new environment, they take one further step toward potential exposure to the virus and new group of people. So this is also the part which will not be managed. Still, we don't have international agreement on this, because the policy in the different countries on how to handle these tools will be different. As I explained before, you have ETIAS here, but in other countries, they try other tools. As they are not compulsory, it's not efficient because only part of the people have them. So we don't know which will be the profile and how to manage the profile. But this challenge are not unique to the hotel and restaurants. It's reality that they apply right through the value of the chain and the travel cycle. And at the moment, we don't know how will be the next travel cycle. But for sure, this app will be mandatory if we want to protect and to prevent, and also to manage the flow of the people with this new regulation. And it will come very soon on our smartphone, this kind of application. And we already know that some are existing, and there will be more detail in the coming weeks or in the coming month. But touchless, I start a little bit before, but this COVID-19 will be an accelerator to change our habits at this level. And once again, this tool will become more essential in the near future.
That's very accurate, actually. Thank you. So I think one of the things, and as Vincent mentioned, we can agree about, is that we are facing a new reality that calls for a wider utilization and implementation of technology. So Fuad, as a technology provider, how can you assist businesses through technology in deploying social distancing, contactless experiences in a way that will help businesses actually regain the confidence of the clients and also the staff themselves in these facilities?
Well, in general, adapting is difficult, whether it's social distancing or wearing a mask or many new habits that we had to adapt to. We've been working to find the best technologies out there to try and assist. For instance, in addition to disinfection, customer-facing equipment, ENS Group has provided a safe-to-pay handle, which is a unique payment mounting solution for cards that can be either used at table service or drive-through or car hop, but at a safe distance. So basically, the employee would be holding this handle that's around 1 meter, around 60 centimeters away from the customer. So this would provide a safe experience in payments. So when used together with UV Clean, the results would be 1, paying at a distance, and 2, using a disinfected POS payment terminal. So social distancing can be maintained safely when payment transactions take place, whilst also delivering crucial customer usability and service benefits. In effect, showing that the business does care about the customer. For the second part of the question, the best way to get staff and customers back is to show visible signs of safety while entering the facility. For instance, our footwear sanitizing station by Pathogen Solutions would provide the most visible signs of safety. The footwear station is the first and only proactive disinfection solution that uses a patented solution between ozone and UVC for superior disinfection results. The station would completely eliminate coronavirus and up to 99% of the deadliest pathogens, including MRSA, bacteria, and fungus, in seconds. So it's simple as that. You walk into a facility, you would step onto a station, and in less than 6 seconds, you're disinfected and good to go. So in general, the combination of UVC and high-touch equipment, along with the tools that facilitate social distancing, such as a safe-to-pay handle that we discussed earlier, and of course, the hygiene solutions that Hala has discussed from Boker, the safeguarding of customers and staff are a priority and will be in effect.
Thank you so much, Fuad. So obviously, we've learned a lot today. We have learned, or maybe for the first time ever, we've heard about new technologies, new practices, and also about a lot of anticipated practices that's going to be in the industry. The panel is not over yet. We'll move back to Ahmed for the Q&A from the attendees. But before I hand Ahmed again, I would just like to thank our panelists again, thank the attendees, and I would just like to add that we're looking forward to seeing all of you again, not virtually, but actually face-to-face this time in the coming Hospitality Qatar show in November. Thank you, everyone. Back to you, Ahmed.
Thank you so much, Haider. Thank you again also to all those amazing speakers and those amazing informations. We definitely learned a lot from all of you. Now we are just giving like an opportunity to some of the people from the guests that are asking questions. I will be starting actually from Mr. Fuad. There is a question for you related to your UV technology efficiency. Is it certified and approved by any third-party authorized company? Please unmute yourself, Mr. Fuad.
Yes, of course. UV Clean is approved by multiple certifications. We have CE certification, and it's approved to be safe for humans. Basically, UV Clean would be operating on a 3-minute cycle. So in 3 minutes, it would be cleaning computer screen, a touch screen, a phone. It wouldn't be working 24 hours a day. It has a cycle. So every 60 minutes, it would run around 3 to 4 cycles, depending on how it's programmed. So definitely, it is safe for humans and is certified, and it's made in the US.
Okay, perfect. This is a question that can be answered from many, like to all of you, or maybe Mr. Fuad, that from a technology point of view. They're asking, can we get an idea about the average cost of turning hotel transaction at a reception and restaurant to contactless technology, and how complicated is the process? I don't know if anyone else other than Mr. Fuad or Mr. Fuad would like to add to answer this question.
I mean, if the question is about the cost of the technology, the technology is priced per month. So definitely it's on a subscription basis. And the good thing about it is that it is seamlessly integrated with the front office of the hotel. So the same experience that the hotel is used to when using their own system, it would be used through MyCheck, which is the solution that we discussed. If this answers the question.
Yep. Hala or Mr. Vincent, any of you maybe you would like to add anything related to this question itself? It's not only about technology. Maybe we can talk about specific services. For example, Ms. Hala, I don't know, any specific cost, or how complicated is it to implement it within the any hotels or restaurants?
Well, the good sign is that according to the calendar, we will go slowly. So we will have time to adapt, starting the restaurant with 30%, then 50%, and next step, hopefully open to international customer. So I think it's also good for everybody to bring back all the team with new habits that give us time to train, because even at the moment, officially, we cannot have group of more than 5 people. So it's not easy to train your team if you cannot put group of 5 people. So that it will change, it will help us, and for sure, we'll be ready by September with all team on board. And the new technology, they will come slowly. The first, which will come, as I mentioned earlier, it's coming from our hotel brand IAG, which will come with their own compliance and own normalization very soon.
Hala, any point you'd like to add?
Just one point, actually true that we need time to and slowly to change, but the good thing about this COVID-19, maybe it pushed us as human to change fast and to adapt fast. Who would imagine what we've been going through those 2 months, and the adaptation of our adaptation is really good, you know? And at the same time, we've been trying new things, like, for example, now this webinar. It's a virtual webinar. We can do the same for training. We can train our people through a virtual training. We can gather them all together and with the trainer, and to maybe gain time until we have a full capacity operating. So that as well can help us.
Perfect. As you mentioned before, Hala, hopefully we're going back to normal, and it's going to be the new normal.
Exactly.
I like that. There is a question for Mr. Vincent. They are asking, I know you discussed about this also before, but how should hotels set the room rates, especially when your maximum capacity is going to be the 50% of the hotel, plus you are saying the chemical or like infected room will be closed for 72 hours. Are the prices going higher, going lower, or what exactly are you doing to focus on the hotel set? Just unmute yourself, please, Mr. Vincent.
Yes, honestly, at the moment, the rooms will not be the most affected side, because it will come slowly to normal. So first with the local market, and secondly with the international market. The challenge will be maybe a little bit more difficult for the restaurant, as I mentioned, but for sure, at the moment, no impact on the rate. I think impact on the rates should be in the coming month on decreasing the rates, because the economic situation is not good. And we already face this situation by many companies asking to cut because they have cut the expenses on their side. So they had asked us as partner when they were dealing with us to reduce the cost. So that's mean I more expect that to have a price decrease, not maybe on food and beverage, but on hotel side in the coming month.
Okay, perfect. So far, those are all the questions coming from the guests. There is one question that is actually related to us, to IFP, and people are asking if we will be having any summary of the webinar. Definitely, this webinar it's recorded. We will be sharing the recorded session itself in our social media platforms. So definitely, like in the next few days, maybe next week, you will have it in our platform. You can see it all. You can use it on your side. As I was discussing also before, we have specific few minutes before we end up the session. We have specific polls that I would like to launch because I really want your feedback about specific topic in the future, or maybe if you can, for example, suggest us about if there is something that you want us to improve. So I'd just like to give like specific few minutes just simply to answer this. Few more seconds and then we move to the second one. In the meantime, Mr. Vincent, we received another question. It's actually, let's take this as the last one while people are actually answering the poll. From a business point of view, everything is going on, will affect the number of customers as well as their ability to spend. The new normal will be a drop in in-person sales significantly for at least 2 to 3 years. What's your expectation on that?
Well, talking about Qatar, that we will not be very much affected for 2 or 3 years because we know that we have the World Cup coming on, and because and thanks to the World Cup, a lot of project has to be finalized very soon, and those projects has already been put on hold during a couple of months. So let's say the business will come back by 2021, and for sure back to normal 2022.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much. I just launched the second poll and the last poll. We received, like, we are at the end of the session. I would like to thank Hala, Vincent, and Mr. Fuad also for your time and effort, for sharing your amazing expertise. We really enjoyed this webinar and we look forward to see you again in our next edition. We will be announcing the dates and everything about it.